Hi, I'm Mimi Geerges. Lebanon has the highest per capita number of refugees in the world, and there aren't a lot of resources or patience to help all those people.
You see entire families out in the street, and you see the effect that it's having on the Lebanese psyche.
At what point do more Lebanese towns start saying, "We've had enough, get out"? Welcome to the Mimi Geerges Show. Lebanon has taken in over 1 million Syrian refugees. That's in addition to the 500,000 Palestinians already there. It's a hard life being a refugee, especially if you're a kid out of school or a young person without job opportunities. And the Lebanese are starting to feel the strain of 25% of their population being refugees. Mirna Mneimne and Christine Zam work in Lebanon for an organization called Anera that gives young people informal education and the chance for a better future. And by Skype from Beirut is Jasmine El Gamel of the Atlantic Council. Ladies, welcome.
Hello.
Jasmine, I want to start with you. Over a quarter of Lebanon's population is a refugee. How are Lebanese feeling about this? Are they starting to get host fatigue?
I would definitely say yes, that they are starting to get host fatigue. I have been here for the last few months on and off, and I've gotten a chance to talk to Lebanese here, whether it's students in cafes or professionals or analysts or NGO workers. And the general consensus is that there's a sense among Lebanese public officials and the public that the Syrian refugee crisis is affecting Lebanon negatively, especially as it relates to resources and employment.
I do want to ask you about unemployment, but first, politically, can this destabilize Lebanon politically? Lebanon's a bit fragile, you know, with the percentage of Sunnis, the percentage of Shia, the percentage of Christians. Could this large influx have a really negative effect on destabilizing?
You know, as you said, Lebanon is a pretty fragile country, and there definitely is a chance that this could destabilize the situation further. I mean, the Lebanese government simply cannot handle the amount of refugees that are in the country right now. I mean, you see them really straining on the burden of trying to care for the refugees and trying to kind of clamp down, or not clamp down, but tamp down on the resentment that you start to see among a lot of the public towards Syrian refugees. So tensions are high. You see it in the street, you see it in the media, you see it in politician statements, especially as parliamentary elections are coming up and politicians are really trying to get in touch with their constituents and trying to vocalize what they're feeling. So I would say there is a good chance that this continues to go in the wrong direction, unfortunately.
And what about economically? Because I know that Syrians are not technically allowed to work in Lebanon.
They are allowed to work in very specific circumstances, but generally speaking, you're right. I mean, they come here, they're registered as refugees, and they get stipends to a certain extent, but then they can't work. That's legally, though. You see a lot of them. I mean, I'm in Beirut right now, and anytime you go out anywhere, day or night, at all hours of the night, actually, you see entire families out in the street, whether it's selling flowers or Kleenex or just simply sitting on the sidewalk begging. You see the presence and you see the effect that it's having on the Lebanese psyche as they kind of have to deal with that situation.
And Mirna, let me ask you, are Syrian kids allowed to go to Lebanese public schools?
Yes, they are, but there's a new system now. So they don't go during the day, during normal school hours. They have a new curriculum that the Lebanese ministry has developed of higher education, and they do go out in the afternoon. So during the day, it's for Lebanese kids, and in the afternoon, it's for Syrian kids.
Do a lot of Syrian kids go to Lebanese public
Well,
schools?
according to the reports and statistics that we have, it depends on the age. The younger generation, until they're 12 years old, we have 48% that are out of school, so 52 are in schools. And when they reach 15, between 15 and 17, we have 84 of them out of school.
84% out of school.
Yeah.
And that's a very critical time.
Exactly. It's a very high number.
So your programs offer informal education.
Yes.
Like what?
So we have a big education program that is funded by UNICEF. And mainly we offer basic literacy and numeracy courses to out-of-school kids. And also we have a vocational program in addition to the sports program, which teaches them life skills.
So you do like reading, writing, math?
We do English, Arabic, math, some basic computer courses, and the vocational, it's it's a totally different program in which we tackle like jobs that they can work in.
This is for older kids.
These are the age range we work with are 14 till 25. So this is the range that.
And why that range?
Because they are the most vulnerable after the research that has been done and after mapping the situation of refugees in Lebanon, we found that these youth between this age and this age are the most vulnerable.
You have an interesting policy where you support equally poor Lebanese, Syrian refugees, and Palestinian refugees. Why is that?
Because we need to have, first of all, Anera, when it first started, we started to help Palestinian refugees. So this is our mandate. And when you want to work with the refugees, you have to help the host community, which is the Lebanese community. And with the Syrian crisis, the Syrian refugee problem became bigger. So we thought it's good to extend our program to cover all three.
Christine, you manage programs for sports, as well as life skills. Tell me about the life skills that you teach.
So we choose three components of the life skills. It's team building, conflict resolution, and communication skills. We think these are very important skills for youth to learn, to empower them and help them in their future. And we do these courses, these life skills, through our sports, because it's kind of boring to just bring someone like, this is how you should talk to each other. But within a football course or a yoga class, we can introduce all these messages.
And when you say football, you mean soccer, right?
Yes, true. Soccer, yes.
Okay, and so it's interesting. You do a lot of, like kayaking and Zumba and things like that.
Well, we try to mix it up because we want to include everyone. It's not a professional athletic sports class. We want all the youth to come and enjoy it. And there's a big focus on trying to include more girls. So if it's always soccer or basketball, then maybe less girls would come. We've been trying to come up with innovative classes or something that would be more attractive to others.
And Myrna, what obstacles do you face when you're trying to get people to, or these young people to join your classes?
Yeah, mainly it's the biggest obstacle is outreaching to the beneficiary that we want to work with, because when these beneficiaries dropped out of school, they've been out of school for a long time and they're not interested in education per se. So in order to get them back into an informal education, it takes a lot of effort. In addition to where the main refugees are living, when they are living in ITSs, which are informal tented settlements, we have bigger problems in getting them out of the camps because there's a shawish that's responsible for the camp, or the parents
like a
have
guard
low,
or something.
Yes, and they are uneducated, so they don't understand the value of giving them any non-formal kind of education. So we try our best to reach out to these beneficiaries to help them better.
There's also some families that don't want their girls going out for
it's
whatever,
a cultural thing.
because they're conservative or they fear for her safety.
Yeah.
How do you overcome that?
We try our best to talk to the parents. We have like awareness sessions, one-on-one sessions with the parents through our OVs, the outreach volunteers who help us inside the camps. And the way we work through grassroots organizations that have a bigger outreach to the communities that are around them in the areas. So it's a group effort between Anera, the CBOs we work with, the volunteers, like even the donors. So we try to get them interested in finding any, let's say, job they're interested in. So we cater the courses according to their interest. Or, for example, we explain to them the importance of knowing how to write and read in any profession they're going to go into.
Christine, tell me about what you're doing to provide safe play spaces.
Oh yeah, so one of the things we do is rehabilitate play fields. Or safe play areas, let's say. So it could be a giant soccer field or a basketball field that could help 1,000 people come to enjoy the area. Or sometimes we work within a small grassroots organization and help them build or rehabilitate an area to become a gym just for women. That way, as I said, like trying to encourage more women to come, to stay out later or stuff like that. So,
and what impact have you seen? Like, what positives have come out of this?
So I think everyone knows that sports alone, with no other agenda, let's say, has a very positive outcome, especially on like
youth.
Yes, exactly, and
health and self-esteem,
exactly.
and things like that.
Yeah, I forgot the word, but anyway. But also when we're trying to do life skills, then it's more organized, let's say. And we see this, you know, something that really was important that we saw is many youth who didn't feel like they belonged in the community, they didn't feel that they had any role in their community, are now advocating to do some youth-led initiatives. They come to us like, can you support us in doing this thing for our community? We want to like paint the street here or make our area nicer.
Clean the beach.
Yeah, clean the beaches, exactly, like stuff like that. So that's the impact we have been seeing.
Mirna, there's a video on your website. It's a 16-year-old boy from Aleppo named Sammy, and he dreamt of being a surgeon. And he was so happy to be in your programs, learning again and using his mind. But I mean, a surgeon is going to need a lot of formal education.
Well,
I mean, are these kids really going to be able to achieve their dreams?
The idea behind the basic literacy and numeracy program is to help get those people back on track to go back to school. So we also have a back to school campaign that happens at the same time with the program. So we start off by giving them levels of English, Arabic, math, and once we feel that they are ready, they can actually go back to school. So some of them do. The rest that are not interested in going back to school are transferred to the vocational training program, whereby they learn a profession. So it's all a continuous cycle for us.
There's a story of a blind Syrian refugee girl named Selma. And I was so impressed because she's in a program where she's learning to sew.
We also have a quota for beneficiaries with the special needs. Like we have 1% of the program that covers activities that are cater-made just for people with special needs. So she was part of that chunk of
and she's actually sewing.
Yeah. Yes. We have very good trainers that they have a very high level of technical expertise. So they help them a lot in putting them on the right track.
Mirna, have you or your employees ever been in a dangerous situation?
Well, we live this every day. We have one story in one of the camps, in Badawi camp in North Lebanon, whereby one of our colleagues was there for capacity building or training of some beneficiaries, and during which she was there, a suicide bomber came in, and we had no clue that he was going to detonate himself. But thankfully he didn't, and after she left, she found out. This is one of the situations. We've had others where some of our colleagues are in the camps and shootings start to happen. These are the Palestinian camps. So yes, we have a lot of these incidents, but thankfully till now none of Anera employees
have been injured.
Injured, yes.
Jasmine, back to you about the camps and things like that. Is there radicalization happening in the camps. You know, we've got these ladies who are doing such good work in education and sports and life skills, but at the same time, there's people pulling them towards the dark side, if I can put it that way.
Yes, of course, and it's such a valid concern, and it's something that is really hard to measure. I mean, you don't have people going into the camps and asking people or even observing these kids and to see if they're being radicalized or not, at least not to the not that I know of. However, as one of the guests mentioned, the age range of these kids does make them really vulnerable. I mean, this is an age where kids are already super impressionable. They're looking for an identity. They're looking for a way to belong. You add to that a refugee identity that they're forced to wear, that they didn't ask for, in a strange country where they feel like they're not wanted, and of course they're going to be at risk, if not of radicalization, but also a whole host of other problems: mental issues, PTSD, depression, a lot of things that I think are not talked about enough in the media. You know, we talk about radicalization because that's the topic du jour. Everyone's worried about that. But there's a whole host of other issues that we have to be aware of and that these kids are susceptible to, unfortunately.
And Jasmine, recently there was a very tragic incident where a Lebanese woman was raped and murdered by a Syrian refugee, and he confessed to the crime. The people of her town, the Lebanese people, forced all the Syrians living there to get out. At what point do more Lebanese towns start saying, we've had enough, get out?
You know, I was reading about I heard about that incident, that unfortunate incident, and I was reading about another incident a few weeks ago where a Syrian woman was describing feeling really scared, herself, for her family. She's a Syrian refugee, and she can sense the level of resentment rising. And she mentioned an incident where she, her husband, and her 1-year-old kid were on a motorcycle, and a Lebanese man in the village started running towards them with a knife and swung at them as they were driving in their motorcycle. And fortunately, he didn't make contact with any of them personally, but the knife did hit the motorcycle. And the woman saw it as a warning for herself and to other refugees. So there's a heightened level of fear and unease, I think, among the Syrian population here.
Well, so I guess the question is, where do they go? You know, this isn't a good situation for anybody. What about the idea of having safe zones, internationally monitored safe zones inside Syria, so that at least these people can get back to their own countries?
The idea of safe zones sounds really good and it sounds really reasonable, but there again is a whole host of other issues that come into play when you talk about safe zones, like who is going to monitor them, who's going to provide security, how do you ensure that the safe zones aren't used as safe havens by rebel groups or terrorists or anything like that. It's a real complicated issue, and I don't think it's as easy as saying, you know, let's put up a safe zone and make sure people are not in danger. I do want to mention earlier this summer there were clashes between at some point, you know, following a long series of high tensions, clashes between Hezbollah and 2 separate rebel groups in Lebanon. In that area where the clashes were happening, there were thousands of Syrian refugees that had been there for a while, and eventually, as part of the ceasefire between Hezbollah and those 2 separate rebel groups, there were 10,000 Syrians, both a mix of refugees and rebels, who were bused back to Syria.
They were forced back, weren't they, Jasmine?
You see things like that. They were. I mean, essentially, it was a ceasefire agreement. They said, okay, listen, you have to go. But it's not a sustainable solution. I mean, one of the things that I think I mentioned at the beginning of the program is that there's just no clear-cut roadmap. There's no sustainable, well thought out solution to this problem, either by the international community or by the Lebanese government, frankly, in a way that protects both security and integrity of Lebanon as a country and the security of these Syrian refugees who are here through no fault of their own.
No, it's definitely a bad situation, and I believe, I mean, are the numbers increasing? I think that the border with Lebanon is officially closed, but I would imagine people are still getting through.
That's right. The borders are officially closed. There are a couple of exceptions that are made for Syrians to come through. One is for extreme humanitarian circumstances or humanitarian emergencies.
And frankly, all of them have humanitarian emergencies. I mean, otherwise, why would you leave your home?
I mean, of course, exactly. If you hear their stories, I mean, it's hard not to classify most of these situations as humanitarian emergencies. But the other exception is made for people who have tickets ongoing from Lebanon. So they're allowed to go to the embassy, get their visa, and then go forward on the rest of their journey.
So Christine, I want to ask you, the Syrian refugees that you talk to, that you deal with, do they still feel like they can go home and that they can rebuild and that they can have a normal life again in Syria?
Well, this is their wish. At least that's what they always say, that they really just want the war to be over and they want to go back home. How realistic this is, we'll have to wait and see what happens really politically. But this is their wish. This is what they say. This is what they want to do. And actually, we know that a lot of times they do come and go. I mean, we're very close. It's just Damascus is barely a couple of hours away from Beirut. So with the border being somewhat open, they can come and go sometimes. And
are we finding, though, that, nobody expected this Syrian war to go on for so long. And a lot of these people have, came with whatever resources they had. Those resources are getting depleted. Mm-hmm. Are we seeing a sense of desperation among them? Yeah,
of course. It's difficult for them. But something that she mentioned before, that though they're not allowed to work officially, but they're probably good entrepreneurs and they've opened up a lot of stores and they're trying to find ways to live. And also with the vocational training we do, for example, such as maybe hairdressing or fixing computers or mobile phones, we're giving them an opportunity to do these jobs that are allowed to be done.
But do you find that maybe the poor or the less educated Lebanese are resenting them for now coming and taking their jobs?
Well, as we said, currently, at least for the past 3 years, it's become officially, like by the Lebanese government, asked that all funds have to be shared equally among refugees and Lebanese citizens, or especially the poor, host, vulnerable community. And so maybe in talking, there's a feeling of resentment, but officially, everyone's getting some support.
Mirna, just talking to an American, not an American official, government official, but talking to an American, what do you want them to know about Lebanon and about this situation with the refugees?
Well, it's becoming harder in Lebanon because the international humanitarian aid is getting lesser and lesser every year, although the needs are becoming bigger and bigger every year. So this is a big strain for our work and for the beneficiaries, for the refugees and for the Lebanese. So we would actually need bigger funds to come in so that we have an exit plan for the refugees when Syria becomes better, because we have to start planning from now strategically. We should have done this a long time ago, but now we're in the now. And there should be an exit plan, because not in terms of education, they're not getting the proper education they should have that makes them go back to their schools in Syria. They're getting Lebanese curricula, which might be very challenging for them when they go back to Syria. In terms of jobs, we're just giving them, basic professions. We're not giving them opportunities to go into universities. We don't have a career path for them, livelihood path. There are a lot of things that they need. And it is very important to note that 71% of these Syrian refugees are below poverty line. So this is a huge strain on the economy of Lebanon, on the people of Lebanon, and we are trying our best to help in the best way possible, but without the funds, there's so much we can do.
And certainly the American government, Jasmine, can let in maybe a few more well-vetted Syrian refugees and start taking some of the strain off of these other countries like Lebanon.
Absolutely. I mean, I agree with you personally. I wrote an article a few months ago in the Washington Post that laid out a national security case for the United States as to why they should be letting more Syrian refugees in and why they should be increasing their assistance to countries like Lebanon to deal with their own Syrian refugee issue. So I agree with you completely. Unfortunately, I think we both know that given the current political situation and the fact that the Trump administration just actually proposed lowering the cap of all refugees coming into the U.S. to a historical low, 45,000 refugees a year. So I don't see us definitely letting in any more Syrian refugees, at least not nearly as much as we should.
Well, ladies, I want to thank you so much, and I want to thank you all for the work that you do to make lives better for so many people. This has been the Mimi Geerges Show. You can see all of our programs on WHUT.org and YouTube. Connect with us on Facebook and Twitter and leave me your comments there. You can also subscribe to our new podcast. Thanks for watching, and I hope you'll join me again next time.
This program was produced by WHUT, Howard University Television, and made possible by contributions from viewers like you. Thank you.